The listing under consent agenda is a group of items to be acted on with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designated to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. Either the public or a council member may request that an item may be removed from the consent agenda at the time prior to council's vote. The mayor will ask if a citizen or council member wishes to have any specific item removed. The consent agenda is A, approval of the minutes of the special council meeting on May 6, 2022, and work session and regular council meeting held on May 10th, 2022. B, approval of the expenditure list for May 24th, 2022 city council meeting. C, approval of the renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for Ocean Pearl Cortez LLC, DBA Ocean Pearl Chinese Restaurant, located at 300 East Main Street, Cortez. D, approval of a renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for Fiesta Americana No. 3, Incorporated, DBA Fiesta Mexicana Family Restaurant, located at 430 North Highway 145, Cortez. E, approval of a renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for BMCJ Inc., DBA Stonefish Sushi and More, located at 16 West Main Street, Cortez. F, approval of a renewal fermented malt beverage liquor license for Western Refining Retail LLC, DBA Speedway number 9492, located at 2320 East Main Street, Cortez. And G, approval of a fermented malt beverage liquor license for Western Refining Retail LLC, DBA Speedway number 9496, located at 2021 East Main Street, Cortez. Do we have a motion to approve?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, consent agenda was motioned by Councilmember Kiefhoffer and seconded by Yazzie. Linda?
Yazzie.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Spruill. Medina.
Aye. And then, so are we going to do the financial statements before public comment? Okay. And then I just want to remind anyone who wants to make public comment that we do have the public comment cards now. And we do have 2 public comment sections in our meeting. Okay, so we'll move on to the approval of the April 2022 financial statements. Finance Director Kelly Koski.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and esteemed council members. Included in your packet this time were financial statements for the period ending April 30th, 2022. At that point, we are 33% of our fiscal year. Just a couple of items that I wanted to point out to you. You'll notice on page 2 under revenues, the golf course has really done well. They are actually above what we had projected for their income this far through the year. Their golf court revenue is at 47.1% for the year. So good job to everybody out there at the golf course. The other item I wanted to point out to you was also on page 44. You'll notice that that's the Recreation Center Fund, and it has a net revenue of $432,000, which is really amazing for a recreation center of our size. I know Creighton would tell you that there's probably been some struggles trying to get that up and running again, but great job to the rec center. One of the items that's really helped them is that at the end of December, they were able to pay off their final bond payment. So our rec center is basically debt-free at this point. You can see the difference that that makes in their net revenue. The last item that I wanted to bring to your attention is way back on page 56. It's under the refuse fund. There's one line item in there that looks like it's backwards. Looks like there's a credit in there and it's under contractual services. I just wanted to point out that that is actually a credit for the landfill items that we actually recycle. So it has a big percentage out there that looks like, wow, what happened here? It's actually a credit that we get for recycling all of our items. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments?
Doesn't look like it. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate
you.
that. All right, we'll move on to public participation. There is no limit to the number of speakers, although public comments will be held to an overall time limit of 30 minutes. Speakers will have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, may only speak once, and may not cede time to another commenter. All right, do we have any public comment tonight? Oh, okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment section and we'll move on to presentations. So we have 3 proclamations to read. So we'll start with 4A, Proclamation in Recognition of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This one I'm reading? Okay. Proclamation in Recognition of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Whereas Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is a month to celebrate and pay tribute to the contributions of these Americans to American history, society, and culture. And whereas on April 29th, 2022, President Biden issued a presidential proclamation 10377 proclaiming May 2022 Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and it will be celebrated throughout the country. And whereas Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders comprise many ethnicities and languages, and their achievements embody the American experience. And whereas the City of Cortez has benefited through the cultural richness, diversity, and generosity of its local Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders throughout our numerous locally owned restaurants, businesses, and community members. Now therefore be it resolved, we, the members of Cortez City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, signed this 24th day of May 2022. Thank you. Okay, our next proclamation is for Public Service Recognition 2022, which will be read by Councilmember Arlene Yazzie.
Proclamation for Public Service Recognition 2022. Whereas public service recognition has been celebrated during the month of May since 1985, and whereas America's dedicated public servants are the lifeblood of our democracy, and whereas this time is set aside to honor the individuals who serve our nation as federal, state, county, and local government employees, and whereas throughout the country, mayors, governors, agency leaders, communities, and public service organizations participate in Public Service Recognition Week, issuing proclamations, hosting award ceremonies and special tribute events, and delivering messages about the value of public service. And whereas the City of Cortez employs 200 full and part-time public servants and approximately 250,000 people in Colorado work in local government, and whereas the City of Cortez recognizes the indispensable contributions of our nation's public servants and honor all public workers who perform critical roles throughout the city, across the country, and around the globe. Now, therefore, I, Rachel B. Medina, do hereby proclaim May as Public Service Recognition Month and encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing public servants and their contributions this month and throughout the year. Witnessed by my hand this 24th day of May, 2022. Rachel B. Medina, Mayor.
Okay, and then our third proclamation is proclaiming June 2022 as LGBTQ2S+ Pride Month in the City of Cortez, and this will be read by Councilmember Matt Kiefhofer.
All right, so this is the proclamation for June 2022 as LGBTQ2S+ Pride Month in the City of Cortez. Whereas every person should be able to live without fear of prejudice, discrimination, violence, and hatred based on race, religion, gender identity, and/or sexual orientation. And whereas LGBTQ2S+ Pride events have taken place around the country every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall riots, and June is celebrated as the LGBTQ2S+ Pride Month nationwide. And whereas the City of Cortez has a diverse LGBTQ2S+ community that includes people of all ethnicities, religions, ages, and professions. And whereas the City of Cortez cherishes the value and dignity of each person and appreciates the importance of equality and freedom, and whereas all are welcome in the City of Cortez to live, work, play, and every family in any shape deserves a place to call home where they're safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors. And whereas the city denounces prejudice and discrimination based on age, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical attributes as an affront to our fundamental principles. And whereas it is imperative that young people in our community of all sexual orientations, gender identities, and expressions feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community leaders. And whereas despite being marginalized, LGBTQ2S+ people continue to celebrate authenticity, acceptance, and love. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Cortez, on behalf of all residents of the City of Cortez, does hereby proclaim June 2022 as Pride Month in the City of Cortez and urges all residents to respect and honor our diverse community, to celebrate and build the culture of inclusiveness and acceptance. Adopted this, the 24th day of May 2022.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to public hearings. Start with 5A, ordinance number 1300, series 2022. Council will consider, presented by attorney Mike Green.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. In April of 2020, and I think this is where some confusion came out last time, the city sold real estate to Montezuma Partners LLC. And I believe the purchase price was around $51,000. When we drew up the deeds, when I drew up the deeds, there was a mistake made in the legal description. And what we are doing tonight at second reading and after public hearing is correcting the deed. We transferred Lot 1B and it should have been Lot 1A. And so that is the purpose. What's going to happen is there's another deed that's been done that'll come from Montezuma Partners to the city, conveying Lot 1B back to the city. And at the same time, we'll hand him the deed conveying Lot 1A to him. And so staff has recommended approval of ordinance 1300 series 2022 at, after second reading and public hearing.
All right, any discussion or comments from council? Okay, I'll open this up to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public comment section and do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1300, series 2022, an ordinance approving correction deeds for the sale of real estate to Montezuma Partners LLC on second and final reading.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Yazzie and seconded by Kiefhoffer. Linda?
Spruill. Aye. Yazzie.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to 5B, resolution number 14, series 2022, presented by Nancy Dalsdall, our contract city planner.
See if I can make this work this time. Nope. Any ideas? Well, I'll start. The request tonight is from Montezuma County Hospital District, Southwest Health System, and Southwest Memorial Hospital for site plan approval to construct a new 4,000 square foot metal storage building. It will be located behind the existing hospital on their existing campus, located at 1311 North Mildred Road. The campus in total is over 15 acres. It's zoned as part of the Montezuma County Facilities PUD. Because this is in a PUD, it is required to have a site plan approval. Well, if we get to it, the site is a small, currently vacant pad bounded by the hospital, the helipad, and Dr. E.E. Johnson Drive. The building is proposed for hospital storage only. There's no water or sewer proposed or required for the building. No new parking, landscaping, or utilities are proposed with the project. A new curb cut is requested off of Dr. E.E. Johnson Drive. Man, I really could use, oh, here we go. Got it? Let me just push there. Yeah, thank you. So to show the location here, I've got it circled in, got something in the way here. In the light blue color here, there's currently a vacant site, and the metal building will basically fill that site, sitting right in that location there. It's another view of the existing graded pad where the building is proposed. It's currently vacant. It's going to sit right in and essentially fill that existing site. The proposed, it's a metal storage building. Right here we're showing the colors. They are with what they're calling a desert sand to match the existing hospital stucco color. And then there'll be some gray and dark slate, burnished slate to match other metal trim at the existing hospital. As far as uses, the PUD restricts the property to ancillary medical care service or facilities. It seems that storage for the hospital meets that requirement. Oops, thank you. No parking or additional parking is proposed. Loading will actually be completed inside the building, so it'll be a drive-through building, but they'll be able to pull in and load. The one major issue with the building is the design standards from the PUD. The PUD does include very specific design standards. I've listed them here. That all structures be designed with elements of Southwestern architectural style in mind. Each structure is required to incorporate at least 4 of the Southwest style features that are listed in the PUD, and I have provided them up there. This specifically does apply to accessory structures. They're required to be complementary to the principal use structure and design and types of construction materials used. And then I highlighted the section that does say no metal-sided structure shall be allowed unless the metal is covered with stucco, brick, or other materials that's considered a Southwest architectural element. This building does not meet that. We do have a recent precedent, really almost adjacent to this building. This is showing the existing ambulance bay building, which was fairly recently approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council. It is a new metal building. It was approved in 2016. It did include the Planning Commission, from what I understand after discussion, did require a color band, a contrasting color band on the building. And down below, there's a little bit of a stucco element, wainscoting they called it, down at the base. but that appeared to be the only concessions towards the design elements. I want to step back a little bit, because looking at these design elements, I do have to say that for a storage building, it does feel like most of these are inappropriate. The offsets in walls, wrought iron, arches, balconies, courtyards, all of that does seem like it doesn't work very well on a storage building. Go back. So I have to say the Planning Commission really struggled with this proposal in that it doesn't appear to meet those design guidelines at all. However, there's a need for storage at the hospital. They're trying to be considerate of costs and keep them down. It is located in an area that's not highly visible to the public, somewhat tucked in behind the building there. And they are looking to match colors for the hospital. The Planning Commission, after struggles and a couple of failed motions, did recommend approval of the structure as submitted, emphasizing that the exception was granted for this storage structure only, and that future structures in the PUD should be held to the design standards. So I have that motion for you there with this, the third condition that they added that says they're aware it doesn't meet the standards, it's a one-time exception, and they do feel that all future buildings in the PUD should be required to meet those standards. As far as comments from any agencies, there really weren't anything to speak of. We have a new address, and then based on Planning Commission and the use of the structure, staff is recommending approval with our sort of two standard conditions that they meet all requirements and provide construction drawings prior to building permit, and then the condition added by the Planning Commission regarding the one-time exception. Are there any questions?
So I agree with you that a lot of those requirements to make it fit don't necessarily work well for a metal storage building. But I did notice that the ambulance bay did have some landscaping around it, and I think that previously you said that landscaping wouldn't be required of this building. Is that correct?
Well, they didn't propose any landscaping, and the reason for that is, as you can see on this site, they're basically going to fill that entire site with the building. So my statement, I guess, was along the lines of additional landscaping wouldn't be required, in that there's really no place to put it. I think if you consider this as accessory, you look at the entire current structure and the landscaping that's currently in place.
I guess I'm curious to know if there's perhaps any intention or discussion around the Planning Commission to revisit the stipulations for those types of metal buildings, accessory buildings.
We did not have that discussion, but it does seem like it might be appropriate as this PUD matures and we are raised with other issues. It's a large PUD though, so it might, whether we can get all the owners involved in applying to amend that and agreeing to that amendment, I don't know. It's a great idea.
Yeah, is this something that we can take note of when we do a land use code update? Is, these things that come up that just don't really make sense? Like, can we keep track of that so that we remember to bring that up?
Well, this is in a specific PUD for this development, so changing the land use code really wouldn't change these requirements.
Well, I think most of this PUD is owned by the hospital district, so. And then I guess my question is, so this building doesn't need any fire suppression for storage? And what are they storing?
Are they here? Oh, good. Okay, well, we'll let them, I could let them speak to that, and fire suppression would be required at the time of building permit, so I'm not really sure about that.
Okay.
My name is Dean Matthews. I'm board chair.
Push the button on that at the base.
Make sure it's green.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay. My name is Dean Matthews. I'm board chair for the Montezuma County Hospital District. The main reason for the storage is for disaster. We have some things we store for county disaster relief. We also have a larger amount of personal protective equipment after the last COVID things that we have. We have to keep more things on hand, and the inside of the hospital just doesn't have a whole lot of storage. We'd rather use that for patient care. So that's basically what's going to be in there. Maybe some beds, extra beds. We're only allowed so many beds in the hospital. As a 25-bed hospital, we can't have more than 25 within the hospital unless it's a special circumstance.
Okay. Any other questions? David?
No.
Okay. Dennis? Okay, then we'll open this for public comment. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to comment on this? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public comment section, and do we have a motion then?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion, and normally I wouldn't read all of the conditions, but I am going to do that today just because of the fact that there is an exception to the previously stated requirements. I'd like to make the motion to approve the site development plan for a 4,000 square foot storage building on property located at 1311 North Mildred, Zone PUD, as submitted by through Council Resolution Number 14, Series 2022, with the following conditions. All requirements of utility providers, city departments, CDOT, and affected districts must be satisfied as outlined in adopted city codes and other regulatory documents. Specifically, all public improvements shall comply with the minimum requirements of the 2009 City of Cortez Construction Design Standards and specifications. Number 2, the appropriate construction drawings and reports for the project signed and stamped by a Colorado licensed architect or engineer must be approved by the building official and city engineer, and a building permit obtained prior to any construction on site. And finally, in approving the application for the metal storage building at Southwest Memorial Hospital, we are aware that it does not meet the design standards for this PUD. This is a one-time exception. All future buildings in this PUD are to meet design standards, including all future metal buildings.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Councilmember Kiefhoffer and seconded by Rainey. Linda?
Rainey,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Yazzie,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, moving on, we have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to 7 new business. 7A is the Chevrolet pickup with utility bed purchase for the Parks Department. Presenter Drew Sanders.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. Standing in this evening for Rick Smith. He's gone to a conference, so I'll be presenting this evening. This is a request to purchase a 2022 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive pickup with a utility bed for the Parks Department. We have had really a struggle, and the council's heard a couple times from us about the difficulties we're having obtaining vehicles. Right now, we go through the bid process, and once we do that, it takes up to a year or more sometimes to get those vehicles, and then matching those vehicles up to utility beds and so on has been horribly difficult. The last time we lost our utility bed, and they wanted to charge us twice as much for that a year later. So we've really struggled with some of this. In this case, and this year for the Parks Department, we budgeted $52,000 for a replacement truck for them. Rick Smith was able to find this 2022 pickup with the utility bed for $50,942.15. Therefore, we are requesting authorization from council to make that purchase. And yes, it is outside of our normal bid process, but I would argue to council that there are extenuating circumstances. We are not able to get vehicles right now.
Any comments?
So I'm hearing that we're lucky to find it.
You're hearing correctly. We are lucky to find this. Rick really did a good job to actually locate this and make it so we could do this. The last truck we did with the council, we had to bring it to you to get more money outside the budget to even get a utility bed that was a year later. And if we don't get this one, we don't know. It could be a year and a half before we end up getting one for them, and they need one now.
And we're past due on replacement of the previous
We are
vehicle?
way past due on
Okay.
replacement. COVID has really hurt us in that respect, so.
All right, thank you. All right, with no comment, do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, Council, who's it? Council consider making a motion to authorize the purchase of the 2022 3/4 ton four-wheel drive Chevrolet pickup with a utility bed from Morehart Murphy at the price of $50,942.15 for the Parks Department. Yes. I would like to make the motion that we consider making a motion to authorize the purchase of the 2022 3/4 ton four-wheel drive Chevrolet pickup with a utility bed from Morehart Murphy at the price of $50,942.15 for the Parks Department.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Councilmember Rainey and seconded by Yazzie. With no discussion, Linda?
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye.
Spruill. Medina.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to 7B. So the reappointment of 3 current members and the new appointment of an open seat to the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Our Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board makes recommendations to the Parks and Rec Director concerning Parks, Recreation Department programs, policies, procedures, parks, master plan development, park rules, and long-range plans. The board consists of 6 resident members, 1 council member, and 2 youth. As mentioned, we have 3 3 resident spots that are currently open. 3 spots that we require reappointment, 1 vacant resident seat. This action tonight here takes 2 items, or there's 2 actions in this item. The first one being the vacant seat. I ask that we recommend continuing that item until the June 14th council meeting so that council can interview the 2 applicants we have for that 1 vacant seat. The second action for your consideration tonight is reappointing the incumbent members. As mentioned, there are 3 incumbent members, Alan Klein, Roman Jefferson, and Kenneth Quigley. These 3 incumbent members' terms, 2 of them have expired soon. The second one will expire at the end of May. All members bring valuable experience and interest and contribute to forwarding our Parks, Recreation, and Forestry mission. And therefore, I recommend reappointing those 3 incumbent members, Alan Klein, Roman Jefferson, and Kenneth Quigley, to the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board. I'll take any questions that you may have.
I guess my only question is for Linda. If we need to table part of this, do we need to do that separately? Do we need to make a motion for that, or?
You can add it into your motion. Either way, just direct staff how you want to proceed with it. We do have the 2 scheduled for June 14th for interviews, if that will work for council.
Okay, great. All right, any questions? All right, do we have a motion then?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move to reappoint Alan Klein, Kenneth Quigley, and Roman Jefferson to the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board, and postpone the appointment of Terry Paul to the vacant position pending an interview. Is the interview June 14th? June 14th interview.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Councilmember Kiefhoffer and seconded by Rainey. With no further discussion, Linda?
Yazzie.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Spruill.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to 7C, reappointment of 3 current members to the Library Advisory Board. Presented by Isabella?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, Isabella was not able to be here this evening, so with your permission, I'll take this one.
Okay.
She is recommending that we reappoint Melanie Remy, Roxanne Rogers, and John Kennedy to serve the next term as the library, or on the Library Advisory Board. These are all incumbent members.
Okay. Any thoughts or discussion? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion to reappoint the incumbent members to the Library Advisory Board.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Councilmember Yazzie and seconded by Rainey. Linda?
Spruill.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. Okay, 7D, appointments of city council members to city boards. So we'll consider appointing city council members to the various city boards for the period of May 2022 to April 2024. So a preliminary interest, I put together potential appointments, but this can change. So I wanted to see, how does everyone feel about their appointments? Do we want to trade or change? We essentially have 10 seats and 7 council members. So some people will need to be on 2 things, unfortunately.
Madam Mayor, I will forfeit my Cortez Arts Committee position to Councilmember Rainey, and I will take the Cortez Youth Commission.
Okay.
Thank you.
How does everyone else feel about their appointments?
Madam Mayor, I believe that the Parks and Recreation Board would be the best fit for me, given my job and previous experience.
Great.
Madam Mayor, I will accept the Cortez Arts Committee position. I would be unable to accept the Cortez Cultural Center continuance.
Can we leave some unfilled for now, or do we need? Okay, I would like to leave the cultural center unfilled. I think that's a broader discussion we need to have about a council member on that meeting and the time constraint and professionalism. So then we have, and then Dennis, are you all right with your appointment on the golf?
I'm good with golf.
Okay, great. 7 a.m. tomorrow. And so then as far as the Mesa Verde Country meeting, I know that requires 3 council members, and it might be a lot to be on 2 boards, but Matt, would you mind just being an alternate, and that way if Lydia or I can't make it, we'll ask you.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Okay, great. So how do we proceed? Do we have to name? Okay. Can I name him and then someone make a motion? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're gonna have Councilmember Matt Kiefhoffer for the Cortez Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board. Councilmember Dennis Spruill for the Cortez Golf Advisory Board. Councilmember Robert Dobry for Cortez Historical Preservation Board. Councilmember Lydia DeHaven for the Cortez Public Library Advisory Board. Councilmember Arlena Yazzie for the Cortez Youth Commission. Councilmember David Rainey for the Cortez Arts Committee. No assignment yet for the Cortez Cultural Center. And then council members, Rachel Medina, Lydia DeHaven, and then Matt Kiefhofer as an alternate for the Mesa Verde Country Board for the time period of May 2022 to April 24.
I'd like to make a motion based on everything that she just said that doesn't include me repeating it.
Second.
Second.
All right, well, thank you all. Linda?
Yazzie,
Aye.
Kiefhofer,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right. Okay, now we're on 7E, ordinance number 1301, series 2022, presented by Attorney Michael Green.
This ordinance approves a lease between Classic Air Lease, Classic Air Services and a medical air carrier in the city of Cortez so they can construct a new hangar at the airport. The reason it has to be an ordinance is it's a 40-year ground lease. And so we've gone over the lease. The lease is attached as an exhibit to the ordinance. Staff has recommended approval, and so we'd ask that you approve first reading and set the same for second reading and public hearing on June 14th on 2022. This has taken staff a lot of time and energy and effort to make this work out in the best way for the city. So it looks like it's a good thing for the city to approve this.
Okay, I have a few questions. Do they already have a presence at our airport?
Have a what?
Have a presence at our airport, and then this is kind of establishing a more concrete one?
Jeremy Patton can answer those questions better than myself.
And Mayor, while he's walking up there, we actually have representation from Classic Air Med as well.
Okay, great.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. So with me tonight is Matthew Harmon. He's the base manager for Classic Air Medical. And so yes, they've had an established helipad here for almost 2 years now. I think this winter it'll be 2 years. And they've been chasing down the plans to build a fixed wing hangar base at the airport, which will supplement their services and will reduce their turnover or reduce their chances of turning down interfacility transfers, because the fixed wing can fly in more adverse weather and have more of a crew on board, and they can take heavier payloads, and they can provide more services on a fixed wing aircraft. It's a PC-12, similar to what our airline operates with, but it'll be set up as an air ambulance. So they're benefiting because it's a 40-year land lease as a business, as well as the community's benefiting because our access to the healthcare network will greatly improve with this. And any other questions you have, Matt is here to answer those as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then my other question is just about the rent. So I see we've put a base rent, and then in the next line it says rate shall be adjusted annually. I guess just what's that process, and does that come to council every year, the change of the rate of rent, or is that something that's administrative?
It hasn't in the past. It's been just an administrative thing that the airport manager sent a notice, here's your new rent payment.
Okay, great.
And once it's signed as part of the lease and that's been, written, approved, the inflation is how that's calculated. So you take an average of the CPI over 4 years. That's how the city's been doing it for our existing lease agreements. If we want to make a change to that, we'd have to do, a legal process and do an amendment to how we build that fee structure. But currently, it's a CPI adjusted rate, and it usually amounts to about 1 to 1.5 cents per year per square foot. So it's a pretty minimal adjustment, given most average inflation rates. So we may have a pretty high average come the end of this year, but essentially it's written into the lease agreement. You carry that forward every year.
Okay, great. Sounds like everyone's in agreement with that then, so.
So far, we haven't had a need to change that. There may be some discussion on that, depending on how the next coming year's economies operate, and how that affects our airport development. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
mhm.
Any other questions or comments from council?
Did you want to say anything?
No, we're just excited to be able to provide a dual capability to this community. This is a very resource-limited area, especially during the COVID pandemic. So, our ability to expand and actually have a helicopter and an airplane in this community is a really big deal for us. I know it is for the hospital as well. So, we're pretty proud to be able to have that service available.
Well, thank you for investing in our community.
Of course, thank you.
All right, do we have a motion then?
Thank you, Council.
Dennis, do you have any comments? Okay. Do you want to make a motion? If you want to. And sometimes we just read it from the agenda here.
I would like to make a motion that council will consider approving ordinance 1302, Series 2022 on first reading, approving a second amendment to the agreement between Montezuma County and the City of Cortez, owned Cortez Community Network Enterprise regarding a... Wrong one. Which one is it? This one, okay. We're going to start over. Council will consider approving ordinance number 1301, Series 2022 on first reading, authorizing and approving a ground lease with Classic Air Medical for construction of an aircraft hangar at the Cortez Municipal Airport, and set for public hearing on June 14th, 2022.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Councilmember Spruill and seconded by Kiefhoffer.
Sorry, can we just clarify again the motion that we are approving, we're not considering approving, just for clarity's sake?
Yeah, if we can just get that motion clarified, please.
Just state that we're approving. Yeah.
Okay, we're approving ordinance number 1301,
Yes, okay.
Series 2022.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rainey,
Aye.
Yazzie,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, so now we're on 7F, ordinance number 1302, Series 2022.
And one thing I could suggest, I think I did it, I don't know who else did. Sometimes if you read the motion off the memo instead of the agenda, that gets you the right language,
Okay.
just to make it easier. This next one is an amendment to the agreement between Montezuma County and the City of Cortez, CCN, for the provision of internet fiber services south of Cortez down to County Road G. All of the existing agreements are attached as exhibits, so you have the history. What has happened is the county was approached by different people or different businesses, and originally a series of 5-year leases or agreements was investors, providers, their management company was not happy with such short terms because, as I understood it, it didn't allow them to have a return on their investment and to depreciate this equipment out over 25 years instead of just 5. So the county asked to have this agreement extended to a 25-year agreement, and that's the purpose of this ordinance. Again, because it's a long-term agreement, more than 3 years, we're doing an ordinance. And so staff recommends approval at first reading and set same for a second reading on June 14th, 2022.
And this doesn't change anything else in the agreement, just the years?
It just changes the term of the agreement.
Okay.
And I would expect that we're going to see some other changes as the county grows into this and the city grows into it with them. This is new ground, And so I think this is to be expected.
Sorry if I missed it, but these longer terms are more standard.
They appear to be more agreeable to the investors and the management companies and the providers, because they allow them to get a better return on their money for purchasing equipment and stuff. It's more acceptable to the people we are dealing with.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion on this?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1302, Series 2022 on first reading, approving a second amendment to the agreement between Montezuma County and the City of Cortez, owned Cortez Community Network Enterprise regarding the broadband fiber network, and set for public hearing on June 14th, 2022.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Councilmember Kiefhoffer and seconded by Rainey. Linda?
Rainey,
Aye.
Yazzie,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to 8. We have no draft resolutions or ordinances. 9, do we have a city attorney report? Okay, how about a city manager report?
Yes, Mayor, I do. These are the top current events going on in the city this go-around. Number 1, Playground Days. That program starts again on June 6th. There is a lot of interest in this program this year, so if people who are interested should tune in a application very soon if they wish their child to participate. Applications may be found not only on the city website, but you can pick one up in person at the Recreation Center. Also, we are still short about 3 counselors for this program, so this really is a fun summer position. So if somebody's interested in participating, making a little extra money, please apply ASAP with our Human Resources Department. Speaking of human resources, they are working to find more and easier ways for applicants to apply for jobs at the City of Cortez. Although we will accept handwritten applications for some positions, by and large, they need to go through Workforce Services, which is a little bit of a tedious process. So HR is currently working on other avenues wherein applications can be submitted in a more streamlined fashion that is more suitable to the needs of potential applicants. So it's not that we're getting rid of Workforce Services, we're just more looking at expanding options. Number 3, the Parks Department is having difficulty recruiting seasonal park workers to help the parks keep the parks maintained as we transition over to the summer season. It appears that based upon the trajectory of the hiring the seasonal workers this year, it looks like it's going to be closer to July before they're able to actually get more fully staffed. We don't know if we're going to actually get there. We're just asking for patience from the community while our parks team does all they can with the limited help that they currently have to keep our parks cleaned and maintained. They're doing all they can at the moment. Then number 4, Mayor, the Colorado Department of Public Health was awarded a $2 million grant to address brownfield cleanup in our part of Colorado. We were actually part of that grant several months ago, and we submitted 2 properties here in Cortez that would fit that bill. And we were notified, and I heard again today, that we are part of that grant, and we should hear in another 3 to 4 weeks more details on how we can participate. But we're really excited about that, and this is something that should be somewhat visible in our community. So thank you. And then, Mayor, if it's all right with you and the council, I'd just like to do an employee highlight.
Great.
This was nominated by Brian Peckins, our Director of Public Works. He has nominated Donna Thompson. He writes that Donna is the glue that upholds the holds the Public Works Department together. She's the Public Works admin assistant and has been working with the city since 1979. She has a wealth of institutional knowledge, and she is the one that can find information on old contracts, handshake agreements, and notes from long ago meetings. Her primary goal is to keep Public Works running like a well-oiled machine, and she is usually 2 steps ahead of everyone else in the department. She has great organizational skills and maintains great relationships with all the staff. Her social style is amiable with just a touch of driver in her. I'm not sure if that's inverted or not, but it depends on the day maybe, right, Brian? Donna was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri until she was 11. And he says, yes, she is a show-me girl, and then she moved to Colorado. She started the 6th grade at Mesa Elementary School and graduated from high school on the 7th Street High School when it was there, which is now a vacant lot. Donna typed the 1980 construction design standards and zoning ordinance without a computer, by the way, and worked on contracts for the water main transmission lines and street extensions. She helped initiate the recycling program in 1993 and incorporated the planning, zoning, GIS, cross-connection, and engineering into public works. Her entire city career has been at the Public Works Department, first as a secretary, then as administrative assistant to 6 different directors. She's worked with 8 city managers and over 100 other immediate co-workers during the last 43 years. Engineers, planners, building inspectors, water crews, street crews, refuse and recycling collectors. Over the years, she has developed deep and lasting friendships with other employees and thinks of the city as her second home. She has seen it all and done it all, but she's not done yet. Lately, it did occur to her, and quote, "What a long, strange trip it's been." So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I have a real quick question, Drew, about the Brownfield grant.
Yes.
First of all, fantastic. That's kind of a big issue of mine. I'm so glad to hear that. But I was wondering, are they city-owned properties that were identified, or they're just city?
Properties in the city.
In the city, okay.
And they are not
Great.
city-owned. It really is kind of public information because it's in the grant, but it's the old dry cleaners on Market Street, and then there's a old gas station over on Broadway, and honestly, I can't remember which one, but it's closer to the Y, right down there.
Great.
Great. Okay, we'll move on to the mayor's report. I wanted to start by acknowledging that last week was Drew's official first year anniversary as being our city manager. So we just wanted to acknowledge that and thank you and show appreciation for you. So this is for you. I don't know how to get it to you. Oh, thank you, John.
It's gone by very fast, and honestly, I'm having a ball, folks. I've been just really enjoying being here, and I'm just so grateful I get to work with you all. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you. Okay, so then my report on the workshop, we talked about first our Economic Development Director, Rachel Marchbanks, and Parks and Rec Director, Creighton Wright, presented the new website update that's coming through. The soft launch of that will be August. So right now they're working on making our website more accessible and just easier to navigate. And then next we talked about food truck vendors and potentially updating our land use code and just reviewing the current ordinance we have regarding food trucks in downtown Cortez. And then we discussed council protocols for a possible future adoption, and these protocols are guiding documents to help with open meetings laws and just kind of set a precedence of how we operate. And then we talked about possible changes in the venue, and that was not necessary. And then we City Clerk Linda discussed changing times of opening and closing marijuana establishments. So that will be on a later agenda. Okay. And are there any other board reports that council members would like to share? None? None? Okay. Well, I look forward to them when we start our new boards next month. Okay. Or tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to move on to other items of business, and council will adjourn to executive session for a conference with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under, should I read all this, or should someone who makes a motion?
Someone that is
Okay.
going to make the motion. Would you also include the city interim contract as well?
Okay, yeah, so we're basically making a motion to go into executive session.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for a conference with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-4024B, and for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS Section 24-6-4024E to discuss the new city attorney contract, as well as to discuss the interim city attorney.
Second.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Councilmember Yazzie and seconded by Kiefhoffer. Linda?
Rainey,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Yazzie,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye.
Mayor, if I may, can we just remind folks about cards before?
The executive session, we will still have a public participation section if anyone would like to fill out a card and make a comment once we get back out of executive session, so. If any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the Open Meetings Law, I would ask that you state your concern for the records. All right, seeing none. Do we have a motion?
You'd need a motion to appoint this new city attorney and to approve his contract.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to appoint the new city attorney, Patrick Coleman, and to approve his contract.
Second.
Oh, right, motion made by Councilmember Yazzie and seconded by Kiefhoffer. Linda?
Yazzie,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, and then,
We have one more motion.
a motion for,
Appointment of Mike Green as the interim city manager pursuant to the letter that you received.
City attorney.
Engagement letter, I'm sorry.
Or city attorney.
For city
attorney.
attorney.
I was like, oh, wow, you're
Okay.
really. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract with Michael F. Green. It's an interim contract for consultation on individual projects.
No, this would be actually to continue my appointment as city attorney until the new fellow starts on the,
Okay.
sometime after the 20th of June.
Okay. To continue the interim contract until the new attorney is in place.
Second.
all right, motion made by Councilmember Kiefhoffer and seconded by Rainey.
Can we, Mayor, sorry to interject, can we
Yeah.
clarify that a little bit? I think our discussion was through July 1, just because that's
Yes.
what the contract says.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's my mistake. Yes, it should say through July 1.
Through July 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Yazzie,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Medina.
aye. All right, we'll move on to our second set of public participation. There's no limit to the number of speakers and no overall time limit. Speakers may have a time limit of 3 minutes per person and may only speak once and may not see the time of another commenter. All right, so I'd like to invite Susan Chemnitz, did I say that right? I think, to speak. So please say your name and address, and then we'd love to hear your comment.
Susan Chemnitz, 511 South Cedar Street. Good evening. I just wanted to let you know that the VFW is going to be putting flags out on the veterans' cemeteries. And they're going to all the ones around in the area. And that's on Friday. It starts at 9. We're meeting at the Annex building. And I know people are busy this weekend and they want to go out and have their barbecues or whatever. But I would ask that you please remember what Memorial Day actually is for. It's to honor our veterans that went and gave up their lives or were injured or whatever. And they did that to actually secure our freedoms. So we have our freedoms today because of what those people did. So I just wanted to say that. So thank you.
All right, thank you. That is a great reminder for the holiday that's coming up this weekend. All right, and then with that, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Linda?
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Yazzie.